Greetings, divine beings. Today we're diving into a topic that will speak to the depths of your spirit. We're exploring the sacred connection between the divine feminine and the concept of the heroine's journey, a transformative path every woman on a spiritual journey must understand. This is more than just a story or a concept. It is the blueprint for reclaiming your power and your sacred truth. Let's take this journey together. Greetings, I am Janiqwa Nganga, also known as Iya J, and head of Isis Moon. I am a high priestess and a holistic wellness coach, specializing in the divine feminine energy, manifestation, and spirituality. Welcome to my channel. The heroine's journey and the hero's journey are both depicted in many movies. Once you understand the concept, you will be able to see how it unfolds in movies as well as in one's real life, especially when you're on a spiritual journey. The heroine's journey is very unique. It focuses on the experiences of women and their quest for wholeness. Unlike the hero's journey, which often centers on external battles, the heroine's journey is often reconciling the inner feminine and masculine energies within all of us. It's about healing, returning to self, and creating balance in a world that has often undervalued the divine feminine. It is also about how many women fall out of harmony with themselves, how they are not in alignment with the divine feminine and are pulled into more of the masculine energies of how they operate throughout life.
So it's centered around, in general, it's the spiritual journey for a woman and what you can expect as a woman, what is is actually interesting that this is a real phenomenon. Like this is something I definitely experienced myself. It is something that's incorporated in a lot of books and a lot of movies. Many books and movies are based off the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. When I identify some of these phases and bring an understanding to you about it, you'll be able to pick through these movies and see exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't know. I guess because it's spiritual, it's something that's just an underlying thing that occurs for all people who go on this journey to embark upon and discover themselves. So yeah, it really hasn't come to my consciousness yet. Like, why is this a common thing? Like, why is this something that we all go through why is this pattern there for us? Like, how would that even come about for all of us? But needless to say, this is a real phenomenon. It is something that does occur. So it's good to know, especially for those of you who are embarking upon your spiritual journey. Once you are able to understand these concepts, it makes things a bit easier. It's like when you're trying to manifest something and you face challenges, you don't understand. When you do come upon the wisdom and the knowledge that you need to know, it helps you to overcome and it helps you to see more greater things manifest in your life. So the same thing with this particular situation, understanding your spiritual journey. Now, the heroine's journey, just like the hero's journey, it has several phases of it. So I'm going to give you the phases for the heroine's journey. And some of the movies I would say that depict the heroine's journey for me, I'm going to pick one that I really like. One of my witchy movies is Practical Magic. I love Practical Magic. Then you can find this in movies like Their Eyes Were Watching God with Halle Berry, starring Halle Berry. Also, Eve's Bayou is loosely depicted in certain phases. Certain phases are stronger in movies, and then sometimes there are certain phases that are not so strong. And then you have movies that have, like, they really did a good job with going through all the phases. So definitely Practical Magic Someone told me Moana. Not sure too much about that one. Maleficent 1 and 2, which were really good. Those are some of my favorites as well. And The Hunger Games. So let's get into the heroine's journey. The first phase is separation from the divine feminine. Again, I've had this occur in my own life. I've also had it occur and seen it in godchildren or people that I am spiritually mentoring. I've seen them go through this phase. So it starts out with the separation from the divine feminine. The separation from the divine feminine is literally the woman is separating from a mother figure. This separation can be in the form of a literal fight, argument, something that separates that woman from her actual mother or a mother figure like a godmother, a mother leader. It could be a woman that she really looks up to. It also can come in the form of death, like a death of a mother or a grandmother that had a strong influence on her, even an aunt. And again, sometimes this separation is usually something that is deeply felt though. So I don't want to say it's something that's painful. It could be a separation where it's not necessarily an argument or death, but yet it's still emotional because it could be something that's simple, make it simple, with her leaving home, having to leave home and go to college and really separate from her mother in that way. So it can be on those different levels, but separation from the divine feminine. I'm going to try to give an example throughout. Let's use Practical Magic, the movie, to give that example. If you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it, but you can still go along with the pattern that I'm creating here. So in that particular movie, it's starring Sandra Bullock, and she does not like growing up. she's from her clan. Her Matra clan is a group of witches. Her mother was a witch. It goes all the way down the line. So her mother dies and leaves her and her sister, but they are raised by her aunties who are also witches, of course. She never likes growing up as a witch. Like, she's more of the one that is not finding any pleasantness in the lifestyle. She's not coming together with it. Her sister is, her aunties love it, but she's just not feeling it. So it starts from her being a child as the separation from the divine feminine, and she finally is able to go off when she becomes a teenager and leave. Her sister leaves as well. So each one of them have their own heroine's journey. So the sister leaves off with a guy boyfriend at as a teenager. And so does Sandra Bullock. But hers is more stronger because I would say her heroine's journey is more the one that they're depicting as the heroine's journey, because she never really conforms or likes the lifestyle, but she does meet and falls in love, and therefore she leaves off to start her own family. So that's that phase. The second phase is identification with the masculine. So identifying with the masculine, this comes in a form of, again, in this movie, they both leave off to be with boyfriends. They fall in love or fall in infatuation, and they both leave home to go be with their man. For everyday woman, for regular life, again, it could be the same thing. Leaving off to go be with your mate, leaving, or just feeling like you are not feeling the ways of the divine feminine. You're not feeling the mother. Oh, Love and Basketball is a good one too. Love and Basketball is a good movie because she always finds something wrong. The main character, who's that playing that? Sanaa Lathan. She finds something wrong with her mother being so domesticated and her mother being this housewife. So she finds her love in the masculine energy in basketball, which could be seen as a male dominating sport, but that's where she finds her love. So she identifies more on that side, her masculine side within herself. That's an example. The third phase is the road of trials. The road of trials is when the female actually starts to go through challenges. She's met her man, her love of her life. She's found her place in her masculinity within herself, or a masculine role in life. As she could be like a CEO of a company and really a boss type of chick, whatever you want to describe it. After she identifies that that's what she wants, in as far as the masculine role in her life, then she starts to go through challenges getting completely everything that she wants. So the challenges could be, okay, now this is what I want. Then I've got to go through whatever challenges that come for me to get there. So I've got to work hard. I got to hustle. I've got to find a way for me and my man to come together and be together and live the life that I want. I've got to get there. So these are the blockages or things that come up on that road. Then the next phase is the illusion of success. So it's specifically identifying this being an illusion, because in the woman's mind, she gets there. So she gets married. She with who she feels that's the love of her life, that this is going to make her life everything that she wants it to be. She becomes that CEO. She becomes the top basketball player. I think their eyes were watching God. Yes, she runs off and she marries this man who's a very strong, dominating man who ends up being the mayor of this Black town. So in the woman's mind, she's there. It's like, oh my God, we did it. This is how Halle Berry's acting in that movie. Their eyes were watching God. And Sandra Bullock is so excited. She has the great family that she wants with her husband, 2 children. All of these things are coming together. I think I mentioned Eve's Bayou. Eve's Bayou, I believe the little girl, Journey Smollett, I think if I'm pronouncing her name right, she looks up to her father. That's her identifying with the masculine energy. And yeah, she feels like her dad is that man of the town. He's a great doctor, all this other great stuff, right? So the illusion of success. The next phase is actually the descent. So for Practical Magic, in that movie, the example was that the love of her life actually dies. So he dies, and you have to watch the movie because there's a reason why. There's like this witchy family curse that occurs, and he dies, and she is devastated, right? So she's devastated. Eve's Bayou, her dad, she's part of the reason why her dad dies, but her dad dies, right? That's a descent for her as well. And what other ones that I give? I gave, well, let's just leave it like that. Oh, their eyes were watching God. Their eyes were watching God. Halle Berry's man, who was the mayor, they end up having these major problems and decline, and he also dies. So the descent doesn't have to be the man actually dying in your life. It could be anything from, it could be a father figure. It could be a problem with your husband. It could be everything that you thought this job was going to be for you to be a leader of this role and really taking, strong masculine traits. And again, I want to point out, masculinity and femininity is not necessarily gender based. When I speak about these things, it's energy. So you have different things in life, in the universe, in the multiverse, that falls into certain categories of masculine and feminine. It's just energy and nature, right? But yes, for the example of having this ideal top job, or being the boss of your own business and having to hustle your way to the top. Now the descent is something that happens that causes the woman to decline mentally, emotionally, physically, and it's usually related to the masculine the masculine energy that she was so headstrong on attaining or making right or feeling good. So that's the descent. In my manifestation and coaching programs, I call this the breaking, the awakening, and the revealing. Before the awakening happens, it's the breaking, right? So the breaking is that decline and that fall and that situation or scenario energy that causes you to go inward. So she is feeling this void because it's not really her true self. She's not complete. So there's this energy of something is missing. Is her true self, her true calling, that is just crying out to her, right? So that could be a case as well. The next stage is the meeting of the goddess. So this is when we come back in. This is when the divine feminine comes back in. So the goddess comes back as, it could be in practical magic, it was her actual aunties. After her husband dies, she has to go home and take her two daughters with her, and home is back with her aunties, living the same lifestyle they were living, having the time of their life, really enjoying a life as being witches and enjoying Mother Earth and that goddess divine feminine energy. The same energy that she did not like growing up, that she had a problem with, she has to go back. This is where that circle. So the heroine's journey, it's a circle. So they're coming back around the circle. The meeting of the goddess could actually be that she comes, and once she goes through that descent stage and she does a lot of introspection, she realizes that she wants more. It could be spiritual. It could be where she's seeking some type of, she finds out about the tradition, right? And she seeks initiation. She seeks to be inducted. She seeks to come into a woman's group, a woman's collective, to bond, whatever that could be. It's usually a form of connecting with women, or she seeks that connection, like with practical magic. The only safe space, safe haven that she obviously can think of is to go back home to her aunties. So it's seeking that safe place again. And that safe place the woman finds happens to be with a physical woman, mother, grandmother, aunt, relatives, female relatives. Maybe she falls in love with a feminine deity like Oshun. Maybe she feels comfortable in a sister circle, something like that. Like she comes back in that form. She realizes that the women that she came from, her matcha clan, the women in her family who are strong, powerful women, like Wonder Woman, she realized she come from a whole village of powerful women. This whole spark of enlightenment hits her, and that's the meeting of the goddess. From the meeting of the goddess, she moves into reconciliation with the divine feminine. With that is where she makes atonement. She comes to a point with reconciling with the women in her family. Love and Basketball, again, another movie. She kind of looked down on her mom for being a housewife. She had this resentment towards her mother for really catering to her family because she didn't understand. But when she breaks up with her boyfriend, she goes back home, and again, going back to that mother, going back to that safe space, and making some amends with that energy. So that's the reconciliation of the divine feminine. That is that phase. The next phase is reincorporation of the masculine. So this is when the woman actually starts to, for practical magic example, she meets another man. That's what's funny. She meets another man who she was feeling something the entire time she was dealing with him, but she doesn't really know. So she doesn't really know at the time that this is someone that she's going to fall in love with. Maybe she doesn't consciously know, but she does feel it and she's fighting it. But in other ways, I'm going to say like Eve's Bayou, her dad actually dies, of course, in the descent stage. And after he dies, she misses him. She's smelling like his hat, reading the letters, and she's bringing that energy of that spirit of her father back into herself. This could be of a woman has had issues with a male or the masculine way of living, like that woman that has attained that great leadership role, or she's got this business up and going to where it's a multi-million-dollar business, and now she's totally burnt out. She's totally overwhelmed. She comes back to her safe space with women and the divine feminine, and then she learns about really the balance of reincorporating herself into this business, reincorporating herself in as a leader, but it's the union of the divine feminine and divine masculine, where she brings that energy of the divine feminine back into that leadership role, back into being the owner of this business that's taking care that has nurtured this business. She brings the new man that she's fallen in love with back into her family. In Practical Magic, she brings this man. Of course, she has 2 daughters. She has 2 aunties and a sister, and he becomes a part of the family, a family of witches. This reincorporation of the masculine and then the union of bringing these energies together, the feminine and the masculine, is what makes this whole heroine's journey come to fullness. So as I've said in other videos, feminine energy is circular. Masculine energy is linear. Even when you hear people talk about manifestation and multiverses, and this is some concepts that I'll get into in some other videos, and having different versions of ourselves. This is the thought of it. It's the thought of the fact that everything is already encompassed in one. It's that circular energy. Multiverse is a circular energy. Time is like everything is already operating in its own dimension at the same time. That's circular, as opposed to us being trained to think about time in a masculine way, like it's a linear way of living or understanding. The heroine's journey is a circular pattern. Many people may depict it with, I forgot what you called that symbol, but there's yin and yang. These things, these energies coming together. And that's what the heroine's journey is all about. It's the woman really going through her spiritual journey to find herself, to understand the divine feminine on a deeper level, to realize that she can never really separate herself from the divine feminine. She can never really grow and elevate without coming back home, without reconciling with women, without really collectively building that tribe up, and then reincorporating and bringing the masculine energy in. Like, you can't have one without the other. For a woman, is bringing it all together. So a woman could be the leader of her family and also be very nurturing, but a very elevated woman is a woman who brings this all together. Initiation, spiritual journeys for people who are doing things like initiation, since we talk a lot about African traditional spiritual systems on this channel. Initiations is a great example. Many people embark upon their journey to get initiated, and they have a problem with their mother. They don't get along with women. They have issues with the matriarchs of their family, their godmothers, or they go on the journey, and once they get initiated, then it starts there. But either way it go, they're going to go through that stage, and then they're going to meet the goddess. And the goddess could be, the goddess is within you, the goddess is within the person, but it could be personified externally as a deity, like, oh, I'm going to initiate to Oshun or Yemoja, or I'm going to be a part of this sister group or this collective. I'm going to start my own group. I'm going to teach women and coach women how to build up their finances, build up their wealth, help them to start businesses. That is meeting the goddess. That is the woman coming into her femininity within herself, meeting that feminine side within herself. And it's externally playing out as that. Before you can bring it all together and bring that union, you got to reconcile with your mothers, with your godmothers, with your femininity in yourself. Before you can be a spiritually elevated woman, you got to do that reconciliation and then deal with whatever the goddess is trying to help you understand.
So, for clarity, the last stage is the union between the divine feminine and divine masculine. It is the point on a woman's journey where it is a mirror of source energy, oneness, unified energy. It is the Kundalini energy that brings together Shakti and Shiva, the Oshumari energy connecting twin gods, Mawu and Lisa, Obatala and Yemo, Orisha and La and Odu. The Ouroboros energy that brings together the divine union of the masculine and the feminine. So, what's the purpose and benefits of knowing all this? Well, just like the characters in these movies and plays, you too are capable of transformation and greatness. Understanding these different phases helps a woman to know one, that is common. It is a sign that you're actually evolving. It brings you answers. It helps you have wisdom. With all this, will make your journey, I don't want to say easier, but more where you can relate and understand what you're going through. It helps with any mental complexities that you may have going on. And you ascend. It helps you with your ascension. So it brings wisdom into your life in a way that you can also share with other women. The practical guidance of the heroine's journey brings an amazing amount of inspiration to help you as you evolve into a better version, a greater version of yourself. This brings balance, balance that you'll need as you embrace and reclaim the divine feminine power that lies within you.